So one of my favorite topics is love. If you haven't watched my videos before, you'll see that there's this recurring theme in all of my videos, and that is love. To be correct, unconditional love. And the reason for that is very simple, because everything in all of existence, in all of life, when it's broken down to its very essence, it all comes down to love versus non-love, or love versus fear, or love versus separation. Fear, separation, non-love are all fairly much the same thing. And all three of those are the cause of all pain and suffering on this planet. As a matter of fact, in all of creation. Now, when I talk about love, I always am talking about unconditional love, and I am not talking about the human relationship, the romantic love. I'm not talking about that love. That's a different type of love. It's a different aspect of love. It's also, it's a massive chemical reaction. It's a heightened form of love, and it's temporary. And I say temporary not because love will die and whatever else, but a lot of times the human love has got so many distortions and attachments and agendas and all these other negative aspects to it, because people usually chase the romantic love from their wounded self, from their pain body. And so the trauma, the non-love, and everything that you've experienced in life gets wrapped into that romantic love. And that's the reason why relationships just don't work. It's the reason why relationships dissolve, because no one can be made responsible for you learning to love yourself. The love that you feel has to come from within, and it has to be unconditional. So the moment a person projects their desire to be loved onto another person, then that is going to be the beginning of the end of that relationship, to whatever degree, right? But the more amplified that is, the more attachments, the more agendas, the more likelihood that the partner will disappoint you, and the more likelihood that the dysfunctionality of the relationship will get amplified to its eventual end. So I'm not talking about that relationship. I'm talking about the unconditional love that is the source of who you truly are. That unconditional love that is your natural state of being. And you can just I always use the example of a baby. A baby doesn't judge, a baby doesn't criticize, a baby doesn't get stressed out, assuming that baby is not influenced by the outer world and being traumatized with non-love, fear, or separate consciousness. But that baby's natural state is unconditional love, because that is who we truly are. And if you want to define that unconditional love as God or oneness or great spirit, the quantum field, the I am presence, the higher self, the creator, whatever labels you want to attach to it, it all means the same thing. But I love the word unconditional love because it makes it real. We all know when we're being loving and when we're kind, and we know what that feels like in our hearts. And that's the reason why every single thing that a person does, good, bad, or indifferent, ultimately they're doing it because they're actually seeking love. And if you don't agree with me, you need to think about that for a little bit. Even a serial killer is getting some satisfaction out of the heinous acts that he's doing, and the twisted way in which he or she received love is expressed in these heinous acts. All crime is cry me, crime. It's a cry for love. It's a cry for help. And you will notice that the greatest healers, the greatest shaman, the greatest people that have impacted the lives of others and transformed them and created breakthroughs in their lives are the people that loved unconditionally and were able to create that cocoon of safety to allow and to help foster the change and the walls in those individuals to come down so that they could let go of the hurt and the pain and whatever stuff is going on inside of them. And the greatest healers and the people that have had the greatest transformations, and I'm even thinking of like even in jails and in correctional facilities and asylums, or where people, are locked away or being told that they have a certain condition, autism, and so forth. You look at the people that have had the greatest impact on those so-called broken and damaged people are always the people that showed the greatest amount of love, because love is the power that heals. Love is the source of everything. Unconditional love, I have to repeat. That means love without conditions. No conditions. Not if you do this or if you do that, or if you look this way or if you look that way, or if you were born in this country or born in that country, or you agree with me or you don't agree with me. It's all encompassing. It does not discriminate. Love cannot, true love cannot discriminate. It cannot judge. It cannot harm. Ever. Ever. And when you break down everything into, was it loving or non-loving, or fear-based, or not fear-based, then you can start dissecting your whole entire life. You can start dissecting and seeing everything for what it truly is. And it makes everything so simple. You don't need all the hoo-ha and all the crazy things that are out there. You might be guided to some of them, don't get me wrong. But things have become so complicated in the world. We've made everything so difficult because we're in our heads, not in our hearts. And it's partly because this world has been male-dominated. And males, in general, are able to shut their hearts down more so than females for one primary physiological reason, and that is because women need to be able to birth a child. And so there's a certain level that their heart needs to be open in order to facilitate that process and in order to provide that child with the love and nurturing that it needs as a baby. And men, they're able to shut that down more. And that's the reason why men have, in the past, been very shut down and have dominated this planet and helped facilitate a lot of wars and a lot of death and a lot of pain and suffering through their actions. And obviously what's happening now in the world is it's all balancing out. And in some ways, women have taken on the masculine role in certain ways. And in many ways, men have been emasculated, ironically. But that's the balancing that's happening. Because technically everything's all one. And the male and the female energies need to be balanced inside of all human beings. You can still be a male and be in touch with your feminine. You know, it's interesting for me when it comes to relationships and dating and all of that. I cannot date anyone that isn't a heart-centric person. I just can't. If their hearts are shut down, I've tried to open people's hearts and it's worked sometimes and whatever else, but it's not my job. And it was a hard lesson to learn. But if someone's heart isn't open and they're not coming from a heart space, I can't even be around them. I just can't. It's very, very difficult. This world needs more love. Any single time that you send non-love out into the universe to another human being, you're lowering your vibration and you are actually causing harm and perpetuating the pain and suffering on this planet, including your own. Because even if people do bad stuff, it's the love that's going to heal them. And I always use the example of, let's just say, Donald Trump or Biden, okay? As I don't sway either way, to be honest. I think both parties and the whole political system is just a joke. And to believe otherwise is just a little bit ignorant, considering the corporate influences and all the things that are going on behind the scenes and the powers that truly run things on the material plane, monetarily, and influence what's happening on this planet. But the point is, whichever way you sway, or whichever way, you know, rather than send non-love to Biden or to Donald Trump for their actions or for the things that they're doing that you don't like, instead you should be sending them love. And you should be asking the universe that they open their hearts, that they have an awakening, that they realize and work out whatever is going on inside of them that makes them capable of making the decisions that they do. And again, they're rudimentary examples because they're just puppets. They and have been puppets. They're not the ones making the decisions. Seriously. It's so funny. So funny. They're not the ones making the decisions, but that's not the point. The point is, if every single person sent love to all the people that are supposedly doing all these non-loving acts and that are doing these heinous acts in this world, it would change. They would change. They would probably have a spiritual awakening. Their hearts would be blown open. They would receive the healing that they need to remove all the non-love and all the conditioning and all the programming and all the crap that they took on in their lives. You see all this talk about dark souls and light workers and good people and bad people. Do you see the pattern there? It's all separation. It's all separation talk. And that is the illusion. That's the third dimensional consciousness. In the fourth dimensional consciousness, it gets dangerous to play that game. You have more power with the fourth dimensional awakened consciousness. You create your own reality, literally, way more, because it's a higher vibration, it's more fluid. Reality is not as dense, and things don't take as long to happen and to be made manifest. And that's the reason why everything in the world is going crazier and things are accelerating and the truth is starting to come out. More and more people are awakening. More and more people are starting to see the lies, and they're not able to keep the lid on things anymore because the light and the love that's bombarding this planet and it's increasing its vibration is forcing all the non-love out. It's the natural healing process. As within, so without. Same process. When you summon love into you, in order for your vibration to increase, all the lower vibrational stuff inside of you needs to come out. And that's the reason why people that are doing true healing work and true work on themselves are on a roller coaster ride of emotions and of things happening, and in a lot of cases feeling broken and broken down and everything like that, because that non-love has to come out if you're to raise your vibration and to pull more and more love inside of you, which is the only goal. If you want to be able to rise above the madness and the illusion, love is the answer to the world's problems. Love is the answer to all of your problems. And as woo-woo as it can sound maybe to some people, if you're even watching this far, it's not woo-woo. If you come to some of my courses or my programs, or you buy any of my products and services or whatever you need for yourself, and you immerse yourself in it, you will not only see what I say, you will get to experience it, because you'll get to experience your true power. You'll get to experience unconditional love inside of you like you have never thought possible. And all the stuff will just start coming out of you and leaving you permanently. And only unconditional love can do that. Now, yes, subsets of unconditional love can do that too. But the ultimate healing, the permanent healing, and the fastest is with the highest and true form of unconditional love, which is unconditional, right? And there are many aspects to unconditional love, many experiences within that realm of bliss and joy and love, all the positive emotions. And when all the non-love, all the fear, all the separation, all the trauma, all the conditioning that is not of love, not of unconditional love, is out of your body, out of your mind, out of your emotions, and completely cleared out of here, what do you think's left? Your divinity, your God self, your connection to spirit, love, unconditional love is all that's left. And then you're superhuman. And science has already shown and demonstrated that with the power of meditation and the power of creating the heart, mind, gut coherence and living and creating that truly connected, loving space where you're not in survival mode or in fear mode or the fight or flight and freeze mode, that you can actually change your genetics. You can actually change your DNA and heal genetic defects and heal your body of ailments. And we all know it's true because there's millions of people out there that have healed themselves of all sorts of conditions and no one really knows why. Science can't explain it. The medical establishment can't explain how certain people have healed their cancers or healed their diabetes or healed different conditions. All that those people did was something inside of them changed. But that change was facilitated by a certain higher level of self-love that they didn't have before in whatever areas there was the cause of that ailment in the first place. You see, because all illness and all physical conditions come and originate from the emotional body and the mental body. As a matter of fact, everything starts with the emotional body, and then the emotional body impacts the mental body and the physical body. And that's how disease and illnesses and sicknesses and the body's decay and aging and illnesses come. but they come first through the emotional body, which is a reason why you'll see that a lot of my content talks about the emotional body and why the emotional body is important. But if you think about it, the emotional body's highest state is love. So the source of everything in this physical realm comes from how you feel about yourself and the non-love that you took on. Because the highest body, because we have the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual, right? So we've got the spiritual that impacts the emotional, that impacts the mental, that impacts the physical. That's the hierarchy. But as we disconnect from spirit, as we receive the trauma and the non-love and all the conditioning and everything as children, we then get disconnected from spirit. And then spirit is basically given very little access to be able to influence our lives because we believe that we're separate. But spirit only has access to us through the love in our hearts, because the spirit is love. God is love. Your soul is love. The quantum field is love. The oneness is love. So I've said a lot there. I don't think I have much more to say, I don't think, other than regardless of whether you believe what I say or not, I don't want people to agree with me, to be honest, just on face value. If it resonates with you, awesome. If it doesn't resonate with you, then dive into it and take this, what I'm about to say, to heart. At the end of the day, everything is what it is. But what would you rather feel inside of you right now? Would you rather feel love, peace, joy, happiness, ease, grace, flow, all the positive feelings? Or would you rather experience non-love, hate, resentment, judgment, criticism, and all the other frustration, all the other negative emotions, anger, etc., etc.? So nothing, regardless of whether anything I just said was true or not true, if your answer to that is that you would rather feel love versus non-love, then that's all you need to focus on. See, it's a very simple formula. The answer to the great mystery of life and the meaning of life and the mysteries of the universe lies in one 4-letter word: love. And yet everyone's searching, everyone's missing it. Everyone's trying to figure out, and it's right there in front of us and has been, and people have spoken about this so many times, from the great sages and masters and Jesus and everybody has been saying the same thing. At the end of the day, it's always been about love, unconditional love. That's it. If every single human being chose unconditional love, which is the only rule and the only law in all of creation needed, the whole world would transform like that. And there would be no need for all the BS that's happening out there. And that's not utopian mumbo jumbo. It's the truth. If every single person chose unconditional love, there'd be no more crime. People wouldn't hurt one another. People would be incapable of any non-loving acts. And all the world's problems would get solved. And people would work together in harmony. We wouldn't poison our foods. We wouldn't poison one another. We wouldn't have half the garbage that we have in the media and social media and all the crap that's getting fed to everyone, and that people are believing and being conditioned to live in fear and in separateness and to be enslaved. And again, there's a reason why it's all happening. This is not to criticize any of that. It's just to open your eyes to the fact that love is the answer to all the problems. And you know, when you realize and you become more of who you truly are, and you're connected to your higher self, to your God self, to the oneness, to the quantum field, then you get guided on what you need to do. You get guided to the people that you need to be with. You get guided on everything. So life becomes easier. You'll start witnessing the synchronicities and the blessings. You'll start experiencing it because you will start vibrating at a higher rate that's beyond this third dimensional illusion that has entrapped us. But we needed to have that so that we could have this and be in the full experience of that. So if you want to find out more, you want to learn how to meditate and how to connect with yourself and the different tools and the different processes that you can do to literally transform your life and have an experience and have experiences of who you truly are and who you were born to be on this planet, and to start living a conscious, more guided life where truly the possibilities become endless and unlimited, as science has proven is the case and possible, then join me for a free reclaiming session, which I do through my Facebook group. And then if you want more of that and you want to experience more, it's all about you. It's all about you. It always was. Nothing outside of self has any power over you, any influence over you, unless you allow it to. And you cannot overcome everything that's holding you back and that's causing you pain and suffering and problems in your life unless you resolve it. But you don't have to do it alone. And it's all inside of you. Everything you need is already inside of you. And like I said, when you're guided, you don't have to freak out about anything. You don't have to go searching for the answers, because you'll know exactly what it is you need to do, and you'll be guided to everything that you need to make all of your dreams possible, and everything that you need to live your best possible life. And I'm not even over exaggerating, because there is no other way. There is no other way. That's the irony. It's the ultimate self-empowerment. It's the ultimate and the only way to attain self-mastery and eventually enlightenment and all the other things that come with that.